Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purpose, such as criticism, commenting, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, education, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock.
Involvement in the United States. And we'll even talk about Michael Jackson, who is relevant to this debate. Both guests will get roughly equal speaking time and a chance to question each other. Speaking of, the other guest is not encouraged. Ad hominem attacks are strongly discouraged. But knowing these two as I do, I can make no promises. Returning to Uncensored, host of the Candace podcast, Candace Owens, and the author of the Israel Warrior and the Michael Jackson tapes, Rabbi Shmuley. So welcome to both of you. First of all, it's great you're doing this. You've had a public feud for a couple of years now. You've torn into each other in various forums. This is your chance to take each other on. And at the center of this, as I said in the intro there, is a very serious global story, which is the Israel-Hamas war and all the complexities that come away from that. I want to give you both the chance to make an opening statement. So Rabbi Shmuley, you won the toss. We didn't really actually toss, but we both agreed you can do this. You go first. Your opening remarks.
Thank you, Piers, for having me. And Candace, thank you for debating me. I have spent my life bringing together the Black and Jewish communities, emphasizing that we share not only a history of shared persecution, but of spiritual promise. Today, we debate an American tragedy, a woman of unique eloquence who has abused that eloquence to become simultaneously.
This is way over the edge. Like it's not even over the edge. We died already.
This is beyond the event horizon. Like we about to hit the vortex.
Yeah, we about to hit the vortex.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, Gravity, any day above ground, live it. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Sunday. I know this ain't exactly how you wanted to start it, but, we started nothing the same. Look at her face already. When you see a Caribbean woman with a screw face like this, you know it's about to be a problem, but that's okay. We here just the same. Let's let this continue.
anti-Semite in America. The statements that Candace has made against her own community, that they cry wolf and constantly say that they're victims of racism. Her attacks on George Floyd, a man who was suffocated to death for a $20 counterfeit note saying that he was a horrible human being. A woman who went up in front of CPAC and said, I was never a slave in America, as if that's the only form of discrimination, is what has led her community to call her not Candace, but Clandis. The first ever female Black woman who appears in her rhetoric against blacks, calling LeBron James dumb and stupid, and an icon to the Black community, as Clandis. Simultaneously, you have the Jewish community beginning to call her not Candace Owens, but Candace Ovens, because her Goebbels-style rhetoric against Jews, that Jews are nearly all pedophiles. The state of Israel has set up a Theodor Herzl, a pedophile, as a haven for pedophiles, that Judaism is a demonic, satanic cult that only protects pedophiles. And by the way, her absolute obsession with Jewish sexuality and Jewish genitalia, the first lady of France, Brigitte Macron's genitalia, is disturbing. It's one of the reasons I think she hates Sigmund Freud so much, because she's a Freudian field dream in terms of his arguments that the greater the sexual suppression and repression, the greater we see violence. But when you say that the Jews killed JFK because he was about to ostracize Israel, when you invent all of these fabrications out of whole cloth, what is the result? The result is the demonization of Jews that leads to violence. Piers, just 1 week ago, 2 days after Candace falsely accused me, as she has for 2 years, of being a murderer, of threatening to kill her, something for which she will face legal action because you cannot malign a rabbi and his daughter as murderers. 2 days later, I was swatted in my house, where 5 police cars had to break into my house because Mayor Michael Wilds of Englewood, New Jersey, received an email, arguably from one of Candace's followers, after she said essentially what Henry II says, who will rid me of this troublesome priest, which leads directly to the murder of Thomas Becket, who today is a Catholic saint, of course. We were swatted, and the FBI is now investigating Candace's rhetoric. They're investigating.
Rabbi Shmuley, I'm interrupting.
Wait, one final.
Lord, hey. Piers, what are you doing, sir? I'm just asking. Y'all let this man get all that off, and we're just sitting there like, so y'all ain't gonna let the Screwface Caribbean get off? All right, dinner's ready.
3 minutes.
One final point.
So Candace will get exactly the same amount of time. It's up to you, but it's an opening statement, right? And what I would say,
may I just say finally, if I may?
No.
Quick,
The biggest issue I have with Candace, to be honest, is that she claims to be a Christian. Candace, didn't Jesus say you're supposed to love your enemies? Is the love you show me that you call me filth twice on the last show that you did with Piers a piece of filth? You're supposed to love your enemies. Is that turning the other cheek? And Piers, you're an English gentleman. I've known you for many years. You allowed her to say that without even a piece of filth. When Jesus said that you're supposed to turn the other cheek, where have you ever turned the other cheek? When Jesus said that the meek shall inherit the earth, the arrogance, the nonstop attack against Jews, the demonization. If you are a Christian, then I am the second coming of Christ.
Okay,
dinner's ready.
That's 4 minutes you've spoken to. Out of fairness, Candace, if you want to use 4 minutes to respond, you can. All I would note, Rabbi Shmuley, is you've spent 4 minutes personally attacking Candace Owens. I set this up as a debate about what is happening with the Israel-Hamas war, anti-Semitism, and so on and so on. You've turned it all completely, immediately, into an ad hominem onslaught against Candace.
How could you possibly
Damn,
say that? You are speaking to a woman who says the Jews are a ring of demonic pedophiles, and you're saying that I have no right to defend my people. You know, Piers, you have to stop this once and for all. There was nothing ad hominem at all. When Candace says that the Black community is a bunch of crybabies, everything I said was policy. I could not disagree more.
Candace will now get the same amount of time if you wanted, Candace, to respond.
Thank you, Piers. And I don't think I really do need to respond to the ad hominem attacks. I think actually one of the things that plausibly unites people across all religions, Muslims, Jews, Christians, is that we all recognize that Rabbi Shmuley is unhinged. He's just mentally, in my view, unwell. And I don't say that as an attack. I say that as just a reality, because I've never seen someone just make things up out of thin air that were never said, and trying to screen that as a defense of Black people. The Black people will never accept Rabbi Shmuley after Michael Jackson put him on a list of people who he felt were ruining his life. So you can stop your pleas with Black America. They won't work. Now, going back to the context of what you've asked us to speak about today.
You mean kind of like the pleas that you do? When shit gets rough, you try to throw out little carrots for us to come get it. Now we good. I don't think anybody in the Black community's ever lobbied for Rabbi Shmuley. Maybe y'all can tell me. I don't see it.
day. I think one of the things that the world is recognizing, and what we've always recognized, is that there are radical fringe sects that break out within every single religion, amongst every race. There's white supremacy, there's black supremacy, there's radical Islam. There are.
Did this Screwface Caribbean just say white supremacy? I know she slipped in black supremacy, but did she actually mention white supremacy? I thought conservatives were not allowed to talk about white supremacy. That's a myth. That's us projecting our victimhood. And conservatives, you better talk to your girl. Wait a minute. Screenshot.
All of these Christ cults around the world. And I think right now it's important for people to understand that radical Judaism is also a thing. And you're watching an example of it right now on your screen. The person sitting across from me, or sitting next to me, I guess, posted on his Facebook page in 2016 a tribute to someone who he said was his mentor. That was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He said he was his mentor and his friend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rabbi Schneerson, there were some Jews who believed that he was and is the Messiah. So rejecting Christ, but believing that that rabbi was his Messiah. Now, you may remember in the news recently, there was this radicalized faction of the Lubavitch Orthodox community in Brooklyn that were digging tunnels in Brooklyn and hurling benches at police officers. Well, and by the way, this is per the Times of Israel, that faction of individuals are followers of Rabbi Schneerson. So again, you have Rabbi Shmuley who believes that that's his mentor. They believe that he was the Messiah. What is it? It becomes important to understand, what did Rabbi Schneerson preach? Well, he preached Jewish supremacism, the hatred of all non-Jews. And you don't have to take my word for it, because if I said it, they would say that's anti-Semitism. You should instead take the word of the two Jewish professors who translated his work. Those authors' names were Israel Shahak and Norin Mazvinsky, and their book was entitled Jewish Fundamentalism in Israel. From that book, we learned that Shmuley's mentor, Schneerson, describes the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. And he says, quote, "Thus, we do not have a case of profound change in which a person is merely on a superior level. The body of a Jewish person is of totally different quality from the body of all nations of the world." And he talks about the substance of the Jewish body versus the substance of non-Jews, saying that the inner quality, quote, is so different and so great that the body should be considered completely different species. So that is a belief. And you can go through his speeches and you will see that he continually talks about how non-Jews should be treated, and that, again, we are a different species. This is what Rabbi Shmuley believes in. We have to come to terms with the fact that there are Jewish radicals, and it's incumbent upon the Jewish community to call them out. I'm glad that you brought up my rhetoric about Black Lives Matter, the organization, and which was basically allowing Black criminals to take to the street to burn down, to loot, and to riot in the name of racism, because it's
Black criminals. Because it was just us outside, right? What about them white criminals? What about them Asian criminals? What about them Latino criminals? What about the South Asian criminals? What about the African criminals? What about the Australian criminals? Because they were out there too. They were riding kangaroos. Maybe she didn't see it. They were on the kangaroos throwing bricks. And they had, I saw like two of them Australian chicks. They had monitor lizards on leashes, and they were chasing cops. I seen them.
It shows that I'm on equal footing here, that across the board, I do not support supremacism, whether it's coming from my community or whether or not it is coming from yours. And I think the entire world is now paying attention and wondering, what is going on in Israel? What is this government? Is this a radical fringe government? And many people are concluding that the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, those are the two opening statements. Rabbi Shmuley, let me ask you this. Where are we now with this war? Because it seems that the people inside Israel are now beginning to come after Prime Minister Netanyahu, angry that his mission to save the hostages is simply not working. We saw 6 more executed at the weekend. Obviously, that's on Hamas. But the relatives of other hostages are saying, for God's sake, bring back the hostages before it's too late. And there's no sign of any deal being done to do that. And there's a lot of pressure on Netanyahu. Is his mission statement failing?
Yes, I will answer that in just a moment. But Piers, your guest just called me mentally unhinged. She called me filth twice on your show. You did not just say to her, Candace, can you stop the ad hominem attacks? Did I ever say anything? I stuck to policy. Can you at least just be fair and say that's unnecessary, Candace, or is this too against?
Well, no. You spent 4 minutes lacerating her.
Calling me mentally unhinged, is that
you're sitting there to defend that charge.
Is that ad hominem?
You spent 4 minutes attacking her personally. She's perfectly entitled
Piers,
to
with all
return
due
the
respect,
favour.
with all due respect, when one of your guests calls someone else filth, I think that you, as an English gentleman, should step in. But let me answer your question.
Ooh, you trying to go to the British niceness. Hey, Rabbi, maybe you don't know this, but the British are some of the most, let me be nice when I say this, fuck it, we in the vortex. They're some of the most demonic people on earth based on their history. And you're asking Piers Morgan to be nice on his show? This Piers Morgan, the man who's cussed out LGBT people on his show, he's cussed out black people, he's cussed out some of your people. You want him to have a feathered tongue? Where you been, sir? The British Empire literally refined white supremacy, and you want him to be nice. I guess Christmas is coming early. All right, let's continue.
No less, the only thing of Christ that Candace Owens has actually fulfilled comes from Matthew chapter 10, verse 35, where Jesus says, I've come to separate and...
I want y'all to keep a pin in this right here, family, because it's going to come up later. Watch what Rabbi Shmuley does.
To your question. No less, the only thing of Christ that Candace Owens has actually fulfilled comes from Matthew chapter 10, verse 35, where Jesus says, I've come
look down
to separate and create conflict between a woman and her mother-in-law and father-in-law. My answer to your question about Gaza is that Lord Michael Farmer, a courageous British peer who happens to be Candace Owens' father-in-law, issued one of the most robust and beautiful defenses of Israel that any of us have read since October 7th. He said that, of course, there's a lot of terrible Palestinian casualties. God loves every Palestinian child as much as he loves a Jewish child. He said that Israel has no choice but to fight this war because Hamas hides in residential areas and under nurseries. He said that Israel, the savagery of October 7th, demands a response. He said that Israel is doing exactly the right thing. And he said that he's doing all this in response to a, quote, high-profile member of his family. The contempt to not even mention his daughter-in-law, Candace Owens, because he didn't want to say her name. And he didn't even say, I love my daughter-in-law, but because the British remember Hitler, they remember the Battle of Britain, they remember the V-1 and V-2 rockets. Candace Owens has actually now said that the Nazis were the good guys, and it was the allies, the British, people like yourself, Piers, who engaged in the ethnic cleansing of 12 million people based on some documentary.
Okay. See, this is, listen, Corner, because I'm not going to mess up your name because we're not that disrespectful. If you just told, okay, you know what, madam, you just told a Jamaican man that the British never engaged in the slave trade. Are you insane right now? I think I get it. It's early. It's before 9 o'clock. You ain't get coffee yet. I understand. What we gonna do for you? Don't nobody engage this person. We're gonna let them stay. I need you to go Google, because YouTube has picture in picture. You're probably on your phone. I need you to go Google the British role in the slave trade, especially the transatlantic one. How do you think Jamaicans, who were first Africans, got over there? I understand there were other countries involved, but they were one of the main ones. That's why they're still under the flag of the Union Jack. Maybe you don't know this. I need you to go figure that out before you say anything else in this chat. Real talk. Have enough respect for where you are to at least do that. Thank you so much. We're going back to this.
She watched called The Savage Piece on the BBC, which wasn't even about the Allies. She always distorts. It was about the Czechoslovakia, a country that no longer even exists. And as far as what she said about Michael Jackson putting on enemies list, that is a total fabrication. It was invented by someone named Dieter Wietzner, who sued Michael Jackson for $64 million, tried to shake him down, and Michael had to pay him $4 million. I worked to save Michael's life.
He's gonna keep
Candace Owens never met Michael Jackson. I
Dinner's
was his rabbi
ready.
for 2 years. I love him. I missed him. I tried to get him off of drugs. She said that I killed him. And talk about the contempt for people struggling with addiction, that she would say the Jews killed Michael Jackson. And with all due respect, Piers, you have not said that one of those things, that I'm a murderer, a man who doesn't have a speeding ticket, who doesn't have a parking ticket, is a murderer, and the police have to come and the FBI to protect me. Are you going to say...
Here's what I'm going to say to you, Rabbi Shmuley. Once again, you've just singularly failed to answer my question. So if you're just going to continue every time I ask you a question about the war, which is the point of the debate, to just launch into Candace or her family or whatever, that's your decision. But in the interest of fairness, every time you speak for 3-4 minutes, well, hang on. I'm now going to let Candace respond if you want to, Candace. Look, it is obviously a matter of public record that your father-in-law, Lord Farmer, did post on X what he posted. He concluded by saying, I point out I'm the Christian deputy chair of the Council for Christians and Jews. This was founded in 1942 as a bulwark against anti-Semitism. I mean, do you want to say anything about what your father-in-law posted or anything else that Rabbi Shmuley just said?
Yeah, I'm grateful that he brought that up. And because it's very disturbing to me to see him try to pretend that my father-in-law distanced from me or said something in favor of anything that Rabbi Shmuley is saying. He would never do that. It is very important to understand that, he does support Israel, and he has reaffirmed his support for Israel. And you can imagine that within any family, you have disagreements about things, but fundamentally, it's all love, and it's good for us to have these conversations. Prior to him posting the statement, I had just gotten back from vacation with him, literally 48 hours earlier. There was something incredibly demonic.
What did I tell you? This is the second time now. Now you're infringing on being disrespectful. I told you, go look this up about Britain and Jamaica before you come up here and say something else and you over there still talking. Now I gave you that link. You can go read that and tell me how I'm lying. Now, if you don't come back and say you was wrong, we just gonna block you. Because I see what you're trying to do. I'm actually giving you grace because it's Sunday morning. Because if this was yesterday, I'd have booted you already for saying that dumb shit. So that's about 5 minutes worth of reading. Go do that. I don't want to see a comment for you for about 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
About a person trying to use the Bible at the beginning of a statement, as he did, trying to quote scripture and immediately following it up by trying to pull a family apart. I mean, that is utterly unholy. And I think the question of holiness and what is holy is relevant to this discussion. I think this is a conversation that a lot of people are having as well. Look, prior to October 7th, I don't think many people were engaged with what is happening in Israel. We kind of all said the same thing. Israel is our friend and ally. I count myself among those people. Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima. This doesn't make sense to me. Gaza is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is
Are you ready to admit that Jews sat up there and enslaved other Jews? Are you going to give us that or not?
Act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not just on me, but also on my family members, are a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley.
Okay, and okay, thank you. And of course, Piers, there was nothing ad hominem about being demonic. This is a 2 against 1 debate. I expected that.
It's not a 2 against 1 debate.
And I will, excuse me, no, it's a 2 against 1
debate. You've made no attempt to answer my question.
No, Piers,
Candace
let me
Candace
speak.
has been trying to answer my question.
Just said,
you're not.
Candace just said, Candace,
Piers, get control of your show.
About that. You are correct. You're right, Piers. Candace Owens just said that Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than on Hiroshima. Hiroshima was an atomic bomb, Candace. Why don't you just read Wikipedia? Israel has.
What did she say that was wrong? She said they dropped more bombs. That's quantity, sir. We're not talking about the yield. Look, I don't even think he's listening. I think he's just pissed off that he's looking at this woman and he just sees all. This is like we know this is a blood feud, but goddamn, let's see. When you're mad, that I hope y'all understand, this is a debate, right? But when you're mad, you don't think clearly during the debate. That's why you're supposed to go in there very focused, very calm. She hasn't got loud with this man one time. And he came in out the gate. He's looking really bad right now.
Has nuclear weapons. They've never used them, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Now let's look at Israel's justified defense. Israel admits, and even Hamas admits, to a 1-to-1 civilian to combatant ratio of civilian casualties, which is a tragedy. It shouldn't even be 1. But remember, Hamas fires their rockets from nurseries. The United States and Afghanistan had a 4-to-1 ratio of civilians murdered for every 1 combatant. In the Korean War, it was 5-to-1. In Iraq, it was at least 2-to-1. Israel has the lowest per capita ratio of combatants to civilians. Candace should acknowledge that. That is what we call a fact.
But you should also, hang on. You should also acknowledge then that there is a unique demographic in Gaza where of the 2 million people who live there, half of them are under 18. So that's a very different demographic to any of the other scenarios you're talking about. That is what's caused so much international opprobrium against Israel, is the fact that so many children, pro rata in the civilian death count, have been killed. It's that people are so exercised about, and rightly, because what's happened here is obvious. Hamas, yes, they've embedded themselves in civilian territory. Yes, they've built all these tunnels. None of these things are to be disputed. But the problem with going after Hamas in the way that Israel has been doing is that the collateral damage, as they would put it, to so many thousands of children has now tested the patience of the world to a degree that vast quantities of the world are against it and want this to stop. That's the reality.
I think that's a very fair question. You know, and I don't like whataboutism. But Candace Owens never spoke out once against Bashar al-Assad, who killed 600,000 Arabs, and he actually gassed to death children. He targeted them with mustard and poison gas. You remember that President Obama said that's a red line, and then he gave it to Putin to get rid of those weapons of mass destruction. God bless President Trump, who actually wait just a second. President Trump, God bless him, actually fired 59 cruise missiles when Assad did that. It's funny because people say that President Trump is anti-Muslim. He's the only one protecting Muslim life. Piers,
how is this a
Hamas
debate?
has ruled since 2006. They won an election jointly with the PA. They took the Palestinian Authority representatives and threw them off of rooftops. They then subjected the Palestinians, 1.5 million Palestinians of Gaza, to the most ruthless persecution that we've ever seen. They stole all their money. Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated in Tehran, is worth $4 billion. Now he's fighting with Erdogan.
Define what a free slave is. Since you want to bring that up about black people, define what a free black slave is. Show me something. Show me your kung fu one time.
Kids over who's going to inherit that. Khalid Mashal is worth $3 billion. You and I both know that the Palestinians of Gaza got triple the amount per capita, prorated for our times, of the Marshall Plan. All of that money was stolen to build tunnels. There isn't one bomb shelter. The reason why people are dying in Gaza is because that money was used to buy penthouses in Doha, Qatar. There isn't one bomb shelter that from Hamas. Hamas shoots and murders anyone who challenges their authority. They were elected in 2006 to a 4-year term. It's now 20 years later. Hamas specifically, and that's why they're being condemned by the Palestinians right now. They want Palestinian children to die because the more they die, the more you will condemn me and Israel. But let's remember, Piers, your parents are part of the greatest generation. Winston Churchill was told by the Americans, don't bomb during cities, Hamburg, Dresden, etc. At night. You can't see what you're bombing. Do what we Americans have, which is precision daytime bombing. And Churchill said, no, my pilots are more important. We need the RAF.
All right.
And he flattened German cities. And he is considered today the greatest British statesman of the 20th century.
By the way, the flattening of cities like Dresden was widely condemned at the time, including by many people in Britain, and led to the establishment of the Geneva Convention.
Dresden was the last month of the war.
And everything else was not condemned. It led to the establishment of the Geneva Convention after World War II, specifically to stop that kind of thing happening again. So I'm glad you raised that example. Candace, you've got over 3 minutes.
So do you condemn Winston Churchill as a war criminal for Dresden?
No, absolutely not. No.
Why not? You just said that it was wrong.
Actually, do you condemn
Winston Churchill as a war criminal for Dresden?
Oh, shut up. God damn. Hey, Piers, you and Rabbi Shmuley, over 100 people hit the like. Piers, can you control your show, please? I mean, goddamn, I understand this is YouTube, but Jesus Christ.
Be quiet! Shut up!
Damn it, man. I understand that you want to get your whole points out, but come on, man. Respect the rules of the room. Jesus. I don't even want to do this no more because he keep talking. How are we supposed to critique this accurately when he's doing like 8 minutes of talking? She get 2 and then he do another 6. Damn it.
Well, please, you said not, but
you're both going to answer the same question. Let me be clear. Winston Churchill was not a war criminal, right? But some of the ways that
Why not? He bombed Dresden and killed 25,000 people.
Yeah, he also saved the world from Adolf Hitler and the Nazis.
He wasn't the only one,
he
sir.
saved
Don't
the
do
world.
that.
So Israel saving the Middle East from Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Iran.
But it's not, though.
Hezbollah.
Israel's not doing that.
Thank you for answering my question.
Well,
Case closed.
All right, let me go to Candace.
If I could just interject here, just to respond to that, I was going to say exactly what you said, Piers. Like, Dresden was considered a Holocaust. It was, in fact, a war crime. And there should be debates about what happened in Dresden. It was absolutely horrific that a bunch of Christians were skipping off, on the eve of Ash Wednesday. And then they were quite literally reduced to ashes. It is wrong. And the fact that you are having to reference a war crime to justify what's happening in Gaza is not a point for you. It's completely awful. When people say, oh, well, look at what we did. Look at all these other horrific things we did. Why do you care about this horrible thing that's happening? I don't even understand that logic. It's completely ridiculous. Look, there is no person in good conscience who should be comfortable with the amount of death that's happening in Gaza. And yes, if you are going to correlate it to Dresden, that would be a fair comparison, except much more has been dropped on Gaza than was dropped in Dresden. So is it fair to call what's happening in Gaza a Holocaust? Is that what we're looking after when you have this nonstop onslaught? And it's completely ridiculous to say, oh, well, this is happening because of Hamas. Let's be very clear. It is happening because the Israeli government will not stop bombing them. Okay. So you had a very...
Candace, you were half right. The other half is y'all love to just forget about the fact that there's natural resources on the Gaza. I'm not understanding why y'all keep forgetting that part. There's literal land, arable land, oil, and water under Gaza that the U.S. and Israel want. Bibi already came outside and exposed the grift. He already did it. It'd be nice for y'all to just say it. It'd be nice. Gaza is tiny. That's wonderful. You sure about that? Who cares if they're tiny? Texas is tiny and they got a shitload of oil. If there's natural resources there, people will extract it, no matter how small the land mass is. Trust and believe. If we have a water shortage very soon, these motherfucking governments will kidnap glaciers. No, we ain't dropping no links. No. I think y'all don't understand what these wars are really about. I'm going to help you, Corner. These wars are not about to stop bad people. If you want to read and view people stopping bad people, go pick up a comic book. This is about resources, especially in this age. I have no... This is pure conspiracy? Okay. Okay. She wants to play. Okay. We play with you. We play with you. I'm lying, right? I'm lying. The same UN who ran outside and said this, right? The prime minister said this. I get it, Corner. You're new here. I do this research, madam or person. I don't want to misgender you. If you don't think this is what this war is about, I don't know what to tell you. Because if Israel loved their people so much, I'm going to just say it. They should have wiped out Hamas years ago. They didn't do it. What are y'all waiting for if there's such a threat? It's funny. In World War II, the US and the rest of the world saw 3 countries as the problem, and they eradicated them. Yes, the remnants are still there, but do you see Japan acting up like they used to? Nope. Do you see Germany acting up like they used to? Nope. They stay in East Germany and be quiet. Does Italy act up the way they used to? No. Israel does not want to end Hamas because then the U.S. is going to start thinking, why are we giving them all this money? Maybe we should downgrade it. We have all this technology. Israel got all this technology. You telling me you can't stop Hamas? You can't stop a terrorist cell. The whole world is against Hamas, correct? They can't stop them? Or is the real question, do you want to stop them? This is why. Gaza's right next to the ocean, is it not? Water. And we know Israel got problems with water. So go ahead and tell me this is conspiracy theory again. Go ahead. Wonderful. And the U.S. should pay for that. Israel should pay for that. Because if I'm the UN, I'm asking both those countries, why is Hamas why are they still collecting checks? Why did the U.S. just accidentally send a foreign terrorist group money? Explain that. You have all the water, you're a damn lie. Where you getting it from? Go ahead. Since you know the topography of Israel, where you getting the water from? Where you getting the water from? Tell us the source. And you better not say the Messiah. Don't do it. Don't say God. We don't want to hear that mess. The Creator can only provide so much. Because it seems like every few years, your power and your water seems to always start fluctuating. Go ahead. Tell us where. Desalinization. Okay. You're independent? You sure about that? Okay. You're independent. So y'all didn't pump the Mediterranean, right? Y'all didn't do that. That's what you're telling me. You didn't do that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Y'all never pumped the Mediterranean. Never did that. Okay. You're a startup nation? Okay, now I know you the Fed. Now I know you the Feds. You're a startup nation. A startup nation has been around for 75 years. Y'all are a startup nation after 75 years. Still there. You got it. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to this. I'm about done. I'm about done. You know what? Out of respect for you and your faith, y'all just cancel her. Or him. I'm sorry, I don't want to misgender. I'm not gonna play the drop out of respect. But we have an alternative. We do have an alternative. We have this.
Get to work!
Y'all know what to do. Back to this debate.
Sympathetic audience all around the world, myself included, when October 7th happened. There's not a single person that should or could justify the terrorist acts that was enacted by Hamas. But the collective punishment that is being assigned to the Gazans, the Palestinians living in Gaza, is also unacceptable. And the entire world should condemn it, and it should be made to stop. And I do believe that a radical fringe has taken hold of Israel. And further evidence of that, by the way, is that we are not even allowed to critique Israel without having people like Rabbi Shmuley, which I never said he threatened to murder me, but he has threatened me for 2 years, essentially trying to bully people into their belief that they have rights.
Said that I threatened to murder you. We're going to post.
No, I never said that you threatened to murder me. Don't cut me off. I did not cut you
off.
I did not cut you off. I did not cut you off. Okay.
He lost.
The point is that now what's happening across America is that you have Zionist organizations that are threatening and bullying people because people are taking a stance against this act against humanity. What they're doing is inhumane in Palestine. And so what they're doing is they're saying this person should get fired. This person should lose their job. The Zionist Federation of Australia just asked for me to have my visa banned simply because I don't support what Israel is doing. And if that is what I have to pay, if ultimately what happens, I get my visa banned because Zionism has a lot of money in media, then so be it. It's less of a price than the children in Gaza are paying right now. And as a Christian, I will never support what Bibi Netanyahu is doing.
Right, and what's interesting to me, Rabbi Shmuley, yes, but let me just say again, the question I put to you earlier, it's not just people outside Israel who are now heavily criticizing Netanyahu and his government. It is people inside Israel in massive numbers. And so my question for you is, why? Why are so many people inside Israel taking to the streets to demand that Netanyahu stop this war?
Hallelujah to that.
They never said he should stop the war. They said there should be a ceasefire to release the hostages because Israel is a cult. Don't interrupt me, please, Candace.
Oh my
because
God!
Israel is a
No,
culture.
Sir, you interrupted her, and now you're telling her don't interrupt you. You bastard! Oh my God, this is already a shit show. We're not even 30 minutes yet. Let's get it.
Of life, and that's why Israel got into this mess for October 7th. They traded 1,000 murderers, including Yahya Sinwar, who Israel saved at Soroka Hospital in Beersheba when he had a brain tumor. The Hamas Hitler, who's the architect of October 7th, Israel saved his life. It's a culture of life, even for Palestinian murderers.
Easy with
they
that
traded 1,000
language.
for Gilad Shalit. You remember that?
Words, please.
And now,
thank you so much.
A whole group is saying, even if it leads to another October 7th, I need my children home. I understand that. Piers, I have 2 sons fighting in this war. I understand the dangers that are being faced. No one's saying to stop the war, not to destroy Hamas. They're saying, call a ceasefire to release the hostages because of their execution. But I must respond. First of all,
I thought a ceasefire was supposed to stop the whole thing. There you go, family. You got to listen to them. Let them talk long enough. I thought the ceasefire was to stop the entire operation. They just want to stop the ceasefire. They just want a ceasefire just to get hostages out. And then it continue again. Unbelievable.
Candace just said that Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than on Dresden. What's your source for that? Do you know that in Dresden, there were 1,000 Lancaster bombers sent over 2 nights by Churchill, and then 800 American, that's 1,800 bombs. What's your source that Israel dropped more than on Dresden?
So it's just interesting because you realize that you use Dresden as an example.
No. Answer the question. You just made no. Piers. This is the
I said more tons.
You said that Israel. You just made a blood libel against the Jewish state. Dresden was 1,000 Lancaster bombers over 2 nights. I am asking you, what is your source? The answer. Don't interrupt me, please. The answer is Piers. My turn.
Rabbi Shmuley, you can't ask someone a question and then refuse to let them answer.
So I asked.
Dinner's ready.
We've heard the question.
Absurd.
Candace.
I'm going to respond to what you are saying. This tactic of when anybody brings up anything that Israel is doing is wrong, you get to just scream blood libel and anti-Semitism.
My
God.
It's a blood libel. It is not a blood libel to talk about the amount of death and the tons of explosives that have been dropped on the civilians in Palestine, okay? That is not a blood libel against Jewish people. This is such a nasty and perverted tactic, which essentially says, I don't have to debate anymore because I get to just call everybody a person who's accusing me of blood libels. Okay, truly, what is happening right now is that the blood of Palestinians is being shed. Okay, that is not a libel against the Jews. That is a fact and a reality against Bibi Netanyahu and this government, which has gone extreme in their response to October 7th. So stop this tactic.
Understood. Piers, can I now have my turn again?
How?
All I asked was the source. Clearly, she has none. It was invented out of whole cloth. That's what a blood libel is. A blood libel is when Candace Owens says that the actual medieval blood libel, that Jews killed Christians and drank their blood, she actually believes that. She said, please don't interrupt me. She actually says that there were Christian bodies found all over Europe. When she said that I am not trying to kill her, we will post right after this, where she said it at least on 8 occasions. That's why she's being investigated by the FBI. Because you can lie about me, you can call me filth and Piers, and you can call me psychotic. I've never said that about you. But what you can't do is incite violence against my family. You have repeatedly said I'm trying to kill you. You said the Jews killed JFK. You said if the Jews killed JFK,
you said all this earlier.
Protect the president.
Oh
okay, wait one second.
Can we get back to the debate
for a moment? Wait. Let's just go back for a moment. No, Piers, I have to respond to things.
Would you like a source?
When Candace says that it is demonic.
You wanted the source from Candace.
I never got between.
You wanted the source from Candace. I think she has one. Well, why don't you let her answer? I think she has one.
Let me fact check this source as well. So 70,000
Yes, I want to see where Israel dropped more bombs on
Gaza. 70,000 tons of explosive have been dropped on the Gaza Strip.
Ooh.
Let's see how many tons of explosives were dropped on Dresden. 1 second.
You mean she said it and now she's fact checking it? You're kidding me, right?
Well, you're asking me to give you the direct source live.
And
I'm
now
going
she
to
is.
look it up for you.
I don't have a computer on me. I don't have a computer on me. This is ridiculous.
No, but you have a religious text on your lap, because when you did that that verse, you looked down. By the way, screenshot again. Maybe I'm going to change that to this. Maybe that'll be the screen. Maybe that'll be the thumbnail now. Remember I said you keep a pin in that when he did that? So hold up. So y'all been debating for about 33 minutes, give or take 4 minutes. So we'll say a half hour, and you just noticed she had a computer there. If that should have been one of the conditions. She can't have a computer there. You let her have the computer there. What a shit show, and I love it.
Let her finish.
This is a cheat
and
sheet.
answer
This
the
is
question.
absurd.
Let her answer the question.
Go ahead.
Candace.
So 2,700 tons of bombs were dropped on Dresden in an 800 bomber air raid. And that is according to Britannica, the encyclopedia.
And what was the
source.
tonnage of bombs dropped in Gaza?
In Gaza, it was 70,000 tons of explosives were dropped in the Gaza Strip. And I got that from CNN.
Through the duration of the war to date?
Okay.
Is that the timescale?
Yes.
Okay. So Rabbi Shmuley,
which
that would
they're
seem to
saying
be...
has surpassed
So let's be clear.
How is that a lie?
She's comparing an 11-month war to a single night in Dresden. That's
Don't
clearly
do
absurd. I'm glad
that.
she has her cheat sheet, her computer in front of her. But notice, she made this
you called it a blood libel.
not knowing what she was talking
What
about.
she
Just a moment,
said...
please.
Hang on. What she said, to be clear, was that the Israeli...
It's also in the New York Times.
The Israeli Defense Force had dropped more bombs on Gaza than were dropped on Dresden. That is true. Do you accept that, Rabbi Shmuley?
You know, Piers.
There you go.
You asked?
First of all, I don't. Wait. What do you mean it's true? Because she said it's true?
No, do you accept that's true?
The New York
Is
Times
this
says it's
is
true.
this a serious show? Wait. Every time I
You
try to
asked
speak,
for a source. You called it a blood libel. Fortunately, we had time to look it up.
Excuse me, you are interrupting me. She made a definitive statement. She admitted she had no source. She had to then use her computer. It's absurd that she has a computer.
I never said that, sir. Don't lie on her. And I don't like Candace Owens, but don't lie on her. She said, I'll go get it for you. You said she was lying. She went and got it for you. And she gave you not one, not two, but 3 sources. She must have listened to me because I told y'all before, I get 3 sources before I tell y'all something. She literally just proved what she said. And you don't want to acknowledge it because it's making you look bad now. Now you're going to try to worm your way out of it. I want to hear how he's going to worm his way out of this.
I just said I had to look it up.
Because she had to look it up. One second.
But
now she's saying that over an 11-month war. No, we don't know that she's right because your fact checkers haven't checked it, and my fact checkers haven't checked it. But let's just go back for a moment. Israel was attacked in the most savage way, and women were gang raped, their breasts were cut off. Candace recently had a guest on who even denies that women were raped. Now she's saying it's in the New York Times. She said the other day that the New York Times lied and fabricated about the mass rape of women. She had the former press secretary of Bernie Sanders who denies that. Now she suddenly likes the New York Times. You are speaking.
No, who said you have to like where your source comes from? If it's true and you can verify it, it's a source. We all don't love the New York Times, but if we use it for content, yeah, we're going to verify what they're getting their information from. But I get it. He doesn't understand how this works out here. I get it.
Speaking to the #1 critic of the New York Times in America. And by the way, this is a typical thing. Candace will say there's no racism in America. Then she will sue, which she did, the Stanford, Connecticut Board of Education for $40,000.
Oh my God. So somebody else sued on her behalf for racism way back in what was it, 06? Yeah, now she's a coon saying there's no racism, even though she got hella racism thrown at her. Okay, she's a disciple of Thomas Sowell, so we understand that. But I think you had the timeline reversed.
$1,000 settlement against racism. She then went on a show and fabricated and said it wasn't a settlement. It was actually for tutors for 1 month. You tell me which tutors are paid $40,000 per month. She will say that I have no right to bring up her family. First of all, I didn't. It was her own father-in-law who condemned her. But she can bring up Brigitte Macron. She can bring up Emmanuel. She can destroy their marriage. Obsess, and you were very good on that, Piers, challenging her. She can destroy other people's marriages. And you know what's also interesting?
Hang on.
Why do we go to
one final point. The day after October 7th, she said nothing for a few days, never condemned it.
Yeah.
And when you asked her on the show, she said, Piers, I never talked about anything international. Is Brigitte Macron an American?
But
so
you
she can
just
speak about the genitals of the first lady of France for months, but not condemn them gang rape of Jewish women?
I've already said to Candace, I don't believe a word of the Brigitte Macron thing. What I would say about what you've just quoted Lord Farmer as saying, you said that he condemned Candace in the statement he put on X. He didn't condemn her. I just read it again. And there's no condemnation.
No, he gave her hell. He
simply said,
read the first line. Read the first line.
In view of public comments from a high-profile member of my family, I want to put my own views
not a condemnation
on anti-Semitism and Israel's current military campaign in Gaza on public record.
That's not a condemnation, Rabbi Shmuley. I saw and heard what this person said. Allow me to retort. I guess he never saw Pulp Fiction. I understand. Pulp Fiction, great movie, by the way. It's going to be 30 years. It's been 30 years this year. 30 years. Watch it if you can. I think it should still be on Netflix.
Where's the condemnation?
Thank you very much.
Candace?
Thank you.
That's not a condemnation.
Thank you. So let's get the timeline. Candace says she was on vacation
Where did he condemn
with her
her?
Father-in-law 2 days before. Wait,
Where did he condemn her?
You and I can read between the lines on any
Oh
person.
my good God!
One she says, in view of a high profile.
I've just shown you he didn't condemn her.
He absolutely condemned her.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
And I love her, but we disagree. Number two, he went on to say that Israel has every right. He was distancing himself for her repulsive, putrid, and reptilian anti-Semitism.
He gave his own opinion.
Why did he start by saying, in light of a high-profile member of my family?
He gave his own opinion. He didn't condemn her. I didn't even name her.
He distanced himself from Candace Owens.
Let me ask Candace a different question, which is this. Candace, why is it, do you think, that so many people in the Jewish community believe that you are anti-Semitic?
I think that's actually a very good question. And just to go back, I'm going to answer your question. I just want to make sure people are recognizing, because he said a lot of stuff there. He's not able to counter. He essentially tried to hold me to looking up the sources. We've now found the sources, and it's the BBC, it's the New York Times, and it is the Euromed Human Rights
Monitor. We have found no sources, and we'll fact check it after.
70,000 tons of bombs were dropped on Gaza.
Wait a minute, sir. Rabbi Shmuley, who is we? Who is we?
Who is we? Who is we?
Oh my God. And he cut her off again. You saw that. Yo, this man going down bad.
And per the BBC, the British aircraft dropped 4,000 tons of bombs on Dresden. So just for clarity,
in a single night, not 11 months. In a single night, correct.
Please don't cut me off. I have not cut you off. He called that a blood libel because that is a strategy, which is meant to just distract people from the truth or looking into it. So you say everything you say is a blood libel. Now, to answer your question, Piers, I think that's a very good question. And the answer for that is because the media as an entity has been basically mining Jewish pain, the history of their pain, by taking people out of context and presenting things that are as a fact that is simply untrue, things that I've never said. We are watching right now, and that's why I'm grateful for you to provide this opportunity. You are watching Rabbi Shmuley do this live, right? When we talk about yellow journalism and people that take things out of context and try to present it to people with a bunch of hysteria and go, oh my gosh, Candace said this. Oh my gosh, Candace is a Holocaust denier. Oh my gosh, he's called me all of these names. And he doesn't have a single fact in there. They just know that if they say those things, it's a trigger. It is reminiscent of exactly what was done for Black Americans for a very long time. They have now since changed their perspective on me. But for a long time, they thought that I legitimately hated being Black and hated the color of my skin.
Oh man, do you see this? Y'all see this comment on the screen, right?
God damn it! You can't make this shit up.
Kansas Mama, good morning. I know you're an hour behind me, but that's what's up. You got time. YouTube has picture in picture too. Go look up her little spat with Christina Applegate. Come back and tell us what you found. Go look that up. Put in Candace Owens, Christina Applegate on Google. Go ahead. Have fun. I'm gonna get back to this. She ain't never get old.
Because I stood against Black Lives Matter as an organization, and I stood against what Black Lives Matter was doing. And the media made them hysterical. She's a Black person who doesn't even want to be Black, and she's a Black white supremacist. They bought that narrative because when the media lies, a lot of people accept that what they're reading is true. But of course, I didn't hate Black Americans. I didn't hate anything other than BLM abusing and mining Black pain, going back and saying, well, it's going to be just.
Madam, you went on your YouTube and said Black people, whenever something happens, like a police shooting or something, we jump outside like trained fucking chimpanzees. That's what you said. You called Black men the most murderous people in the country. What? You sat there on a 4-year jihad against George Floyd talking about he died of fentanyl overdose and Derek Chauvin should be free. Huh? But you don't hate Black America. Okay. All right.
Just like slavery, to distract people from what was ultimately just a fraudulent organization that was actually going to bring more harms to Black Americans in the end. And that's how I feel about the state of Israel and everything they're doing. Ultimately, I believe it's going to yield more anti-Semitism. It's going to make people associate what Bibi Netanyahu is doing to all Jews around the world. And so I think it's important for them to realize it's the same exact tactics of manipulation, the same exact name calling and ad hominem attacks that is not based in fact and not based in reality, but based in not wanting to answer the fair critiques that people have about what Israel is doing. But that's a very good question.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley, I mean, there's some validity to that argument, I think, is that too often I do see people immediately branded anti-Semitic if they dare to criticize the Israeli government. But there's a very big difference between criticizing a government and its actions and a whole people, which is what anti-Semitism is. And do you accept that difference?
The beauty of Israel is its democracy. You just said that hundreds of thousands of people are marching against Benjamin Netanyahu. I welcome those protests. It shows that even during war, listen, in 1864, the United States had a presidential election. Some people wanted to cancel it, saying that how could you elect Lincoln when there's a civil war? And they still had the election. Israel's the same. Let's just go through Candace Owens' history of anti-Semitism.
I will let you do that. I will let you do that, and she can respond. But on my specific point, though, do you accept that it's perfectly possible, and indeed it should be in a robust democratic society, a central tenet of this, that Israel's government and its prime minister should be criticized by anyone who chooses to criticize them, without the people who criticize them being branded anti-Semitic?
Of course. I am a very close friend of Netanyahu, and I criticize him allowing Qatar. Qatar is one of the most duplicitous, evil governments in the world. They house all of the leaders, the billionaire leaders of Hamas. I criticize Benjamin Netanyahu, my dear friend, for allowing money to go into Hamas in the belief that they could be bought off. I criticize the Israeli government for not recognizing the Armenian genocide, something that Candace Owens blames the Jews. She actually says that Kemal Ataturk was led by the Jews to the Armenian genocide. By the way, the Armenian genocide took place under the Ottoman Turks, not Kemal Ataturk. She has no sense of history, and she just fabricates constantly.
On the specific point. Wait,
one second. Let's go through her history of anti-Semitism.
Yes, you said you had specifics of Candace Owens being anti-Semitic. What are those examples?
Okay. You see, the Jewish community did not want Candace Owens to be anti-Semitic. This is actually a tragedy that a woman gifted by God with such eloquence has decided to become a purveyor of hate. And when she said in 2018 that she has no issue with Hitler because if he was a nationalist, but then he wanted to go beyond our borders. Even then, we didn't call her an anti-Semite. That's an absurd thing to say, that you had no issue with Hitler. Hitler, even domestically by then, had enacted all the Nuremberg laws. There was already the November 9th, 1938 pogrom.
Hang on. What are you saying? Let's clarify. Let's take these one at a time. What do you believe she said about Adolf Hitler in the clip you're talking about?
She said that there was no issue with Hitler except for the fact that he went beyond his borders. If he was a nationalist,
let's play the clip. Let me play the clip.
But my point is, no one called her.
In the interest of fairness, I'm going to play the clip so that viewers who've never heard it can hear what actually got said.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. So in thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK, is what you kind of want to avoid. So I don't have anything problem. I have no problems with nationalism. It's globalism that I try to avoid.
So Candace, on that specific point, would you say that Rabbi Shmuley has categorized it correctly or not?
He's just openly lying, and that's why he didn't want you to play the clip. I was in the UK, by the way. I was at the Royal Mobile Club. There were Jewish journalists in the room, and nothing was written about it until months later when somebody was working on a hit piece about me. I was answering a question when they were saying, how can we just embrace the word nationalism when it sort of has this dirty feel? And I was just essentially saying that I actually don't have an issue with nationalism. I think it's totally fine to be a British nationalist, to be an American nationalist. And the problem is that it's wrongly attributed. That word, I think people instantly associate it with Adolf Hitler. And I would argue that he wasn't actually a nationalist because obviously he invaded Poland and he went beyond German borders. I didn't even mention Jewish people. I didn't mention the Holocaust. And suddenly you have people like Rabbi Shmuley who are pretending that I got up there and I defended Adolf Hitler. It's just, this isn't
That is not what you said.
And this is why I say right now, please don't cut me off. Please do not cut me off. A huge issue that you have right now is this dishonesty. If you really want to understand why Israel is facing a PR crisis, why Zionism right now to people doesn't feel good and they don't want to associate themselves with it, is because it seems like it takes so many lies to maintain. There's no reason to misrepresent what I said and to tell people that I support Adolf Hitler, other than the fact that you want people to hate me. And so I'm deeply appreciative of the fact that you guys had that clip ready to go.
Well, you may respond to what you just said and to that clip. Now you watched it.
Okay. She keeps on saying lying. I never said you shouldn't play the clip. I'm actually happy you did. She said if Hitler had only focused on domestic policy, she would have had no issue with him. His domestic policy was to the Kristallnacht, burned down 3,000 synagogues in a single night domestically. That was not in Poland. That was not in Czechoslovakia. His domestic policy was the 1934 Nuremberg laws. His domestic policy was a complete dictatorship where he destroyed the Bundestag and subjected and created Dachau under Himmler. So those are the historical facts. And but what I said was, even then, the Jewish community gave her a pass. She explained it. One mistake, people make mistakes.
So why are you bringing it back up?
She's not going to be barred from going into Australia because of anything she said about Israel. That is a fabrication. She's going to be barred. Australia is my wife's country, born in Sydney. She's going to be barred to go to Australia because she's a Holocaust denier, because a 100-year-old victim of Yosef Mengele, the angel of death's experiments, came forward and said, you are going to traumatize me all over again. She actually said that Mengele's experiments, the fourth worst person in Nazi Germany after Hitler, Goebbels, Mengele, it was a fabrication. She's an out-and-out Holocaust denier. And Australia, God bless them, took in so many survivors after the war, including my wife's family from Slovakia.
Well, let me ask Candace Owens now.
She said that the Mengele experiments were false. Go ahead.
Let me ask Candace Owens now two things. One, are you a Holocaust denier, or do you accept that 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis in the Holocaust? And secondly, do you believe that Joseph Mengele did what he is reported to have done and has been since World War II ended?
Thank you for those questions. No, absolutely. I am not a Holocaust denier. This is, again, another fabrication based off of a monologue that I did in which I was putting pressure on the American government to explain why it is a fact that we learned all of these things about the horrific things that Nazi scientists did. And to be clear, Piers, I did not even mention Joseph Mengele's name in this skit at all. I spoke about all the things that we learned, that we were told over the years, some of which ended up in this skit at all. I spoke about, to be clear, Piers, I did not even mention Joseph Mengele's name in this skit at all. I spoke about all the things that we learned, that we were told over the years, some of which ended up being rebutted. And, there were tons of, that part doesn't matter. The point is, the end conclusion of that is that the CIA, via an operation known as Operation Paperclip, took the Nazi scientists and brought them to America, where they continued horrific experiments on Americans. That's the full context of that. So they pulled out a statement, one sentence, where I said, we've heard all of these sorts of things that they've done, cut people in half, sewed them back together. And I said, that sounds like a ridiculous waste of time. And when you pull that clip up by itself, it sounds like I'm just diminishing all of these stories, when in reality, I'm saying, let's take everything at face value. Let's say everything we've ever heard was true. Why on earth would the American government acquiesce to bringing these scientists over to America? And as a fact, Dr. Mengele was not one of the scientists which was brought over to America. So
but just to be clear, you accept, hang on, I'll come to you, Rabbi Shmuley. To be clear, you accept the Nazis murdered 6 million Jews in the Holocaust?
Yeah, I have never once in any of my appearances
I'm just asking you to clarify.
denied the Holocaust atrocities.
Okay.
Ever.
And you accept that Joseph Mengele was a despicable man who perpetrated horrendous crimes, including experimenting on Jewish people when they were still alive?
All of the scientists, the Nazi experiments that were done were horrific. And that's why I was saying they were so horrific that it makes you go, why on earth would the American government in this clandestine operation bring over the Nazi scientists who then became a part of our CIA and continued experiments onto America through to the 60s and the 70s. And I was
let me ask Rabbi
what those experiments were that was done throughout the Korean War.
Rabbi Shmuley, your response.
And I read it.
After this debate, we will post every single clip. That was a complete and utter fabrication. What she said was that she doubts that any of this happened because it was, as she just said, a waste of time. The whole Holocaust was a waste of time. Hitler had no winter equipment for his soldiers in Stalingrad under General Paulus in 1942 because the boxcars were taking Jews to Auschwitz. You see, that is what hatred is, Candace. It's where you hate so much that it becomes self-destructive. It's what's happening to you. You're a very gifted, eloquent broadcaster. You are self-destructive.
Here we go with the black-handed compliments now. And I said that correctly, the black-handed compliments. Because they will smack you in the face, but they'll leave a little bit of themselves on you. He's trying to bring her down to her level. I at least got to give the Queen Coon credit. She ain't fall for it. I at least give her that. But all right.
Before America's eyes because you have some issue with the Jews, not with Israel. So let me continue. You actually said that Theodor Herzl was a Frankist. By the way, when you attack Frankists as a bunch of Jewish pedophiles, you forget to mention they all became part of your religion. They all converted in 1757 to Catholicism. You always omit that. But you said that Theodor Herzl was a Frankist, and you said he set up the state of Israel as a refuge for pedophiles. This is before Gaza. This is before Rafah, as a refuge for Jewish pedophiles. You always refer to Jews as pedophiles. It's the main word you use about Jews. And every historian knows that what began in Norwich in 1099 with the first blood libel where the Jews were falsely accused of taking a Christian child and drinking his blood. You actually believed that. You said that Christian bodies, this is before Rafah, this is before Israel, that Christian bodies were found all over Europe. And when you speak about pedophilia, you know, it's funny, you just converted to Catholicism. In 2002, Pope John Paul II, a pope that you would probably like, he was very conservative. He was a great man, great friend of the Jewish community, recognized the state of Israel, sent an ambassador in 1994. He apologized, very frail, to the world Catholic community, saying that at least 2% of all Catholic priests were pedophiles. Later, Pope Benedict XVI apologized again. I met Pope Benedict, a great man, great friend of the Jewish community. He said it was 4%. Then Pope Francis raised it probably even higher, 6%. We know 1 million people, almost 1 million people, children in France alone, according to the French government, were abused by Catholic priests. But you've never once condemned Catholic pedophilia. Everyone knows it was the biggest scandal in the world, but only the Jews are pedophiles. Is that anti-Semitism?
Okay, let me ask Candace, do you condemn pedophiles in the Catholic Church, Christian pedophiles?
Yeah, he's just lying again. Actually, on my show, I spoke extensively about Frankism, and I told people that there was a conversion into the Catholic faith. And one of the things that I believe is that all of the Abrahamic religions have been infiltrated by Satanists, and that is what I've said. So they've decided to pull apart only the piece where I'm talking about Judaism and not where I'm speaking about all of the faiths having been infiltrated. And speaking about how it's important for everyone to recognize this so that you can realize that there is this sort of satanic cult that's operating within all of the faiths. And I think that they use Christians and they use Jews and Muslims as well. I've said that on my show multiple times. So he's just absolutely lying about that. I think the difference here is that you'd be hard pressed to find a Catholic that would in any capacity defend pedophilia. Now, regarding what he is saying that I said Judaism is filled with pedophiles, that is objectively nonsense. I am a Christian. I'm aware of what the first 5 books of my Bible are. That would be me insinuating that, okay, well, the first 5 books of my Bible are inspired by pedophilia. That's absolutely false. What I said, and I'm hopeful that this is something that the rabbi will agree with, is that it is a fact that Jewish pedophiles, American Jewish pedophiles, escape and run and hide in Israel, where they are given safe harbor by the government. That is a fact. They will not extradite our pedophiles. That is an absolute nonsense, given the many billions of dollars that we give to Israel, that we can't get back the men that are raping children. Okay. And
all right. Let's just say that she won this. I don't want to hear no more. And they're going down that road, and I don't want this thing to become a confirmed by review limited ads, because we was having a great conversation. But all right. There was that. The chore that it was. I'm probably going to regret this. I'm going to regret this. Probably the one time. But we're going to let y'all get off. Pause. But we're going to regulate it because I got to go to work. We're going to regulate it to 60 seconds. So if you're not ready to talk, do not click that link. I'm not in a position right now to have lengthy conversations. All right. Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning, man.
Good morning.
What's up? I just want to say in this whole situation, absolutely nothing got resolved at all. But Rabbi Shmuley to me looks the fool. He does what the typical blue streak talk fast, talk a lot of words, don't answer any questions. This was basically hard to watch, but thanks for making it watchable, because I swear, I don't even like Candace. That's the problem. When you make me root for the villain, you know you are a problem. But I digress. You know what? I'm gonna land my plane here because I'm gonna respect your wishes. I'm gonna keep it short. Have a good day, bro.
You too. Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir? That was very, very interesting. That was some good. I should have bought some popcorn to watch that, because that wasn't nothing but a what do you want to call a yell fight. That's all they were doing, yelling at each other.
She actually did less yelling.
Well, he did. All he did was yell at her, because he just wanted to get off on her. Pause. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't really want to debate. He just wanted to talk junk to her, but he could have done it on his own time. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he made Kansas look good. How you make the most How you make her look good? Even though she still sounds stupid as hell when she talking about black supremacy, where there's no such thing as black supremacy. We all know this, but she knows that too. She's just trying to keep her good graces with them folks. But yeah,
there you go.
That's all she's trying to do until.
Where is this black supremacy, and what's the zip code so I can look up the homes?
That's what I need to figure out because I didn't know we had supremacy and stuff. I'm still trying to figure that out. You did see that we was kind of alerting you about the trolls that popped up, right?
Which one?
It was a couple of them. Hold on, let me go back. Hold on, let me pull the chat real quick, sir. Hold on. Go to. Let me see. It ain't gonna.
Because it's a joke. I know you're new here, so you don't know it's a joke.
Yeah, it was what was it? YUHAH that comment. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, he said something about I can't pull it up on this thing. So
it's fine.
Yeah, he was talking some Bible talking about black folks had the best highest homicide, which is we all know that's kind of a lie, but
we listen. If that person said that, I suggest you go back to my per capita and my crime videos and live streams. We already proved that those were false. But let y'all tell it. We got the most homicide rates. All right.
Yeah, how we have the most homicide rate? We're not even the biggest group in the country. But
oh my God, no, I tell you that per capita kicking their ass. That's why white boys don't be using it no more.
Yeah, speaking of the white
person that uses that, you got 10 seconds.
I about to say, speaking of the white boys, but no, you already know what happened yesterday. That everybody was talking about that basically almost went viral yesterday. But
what?
You heard about your boy, Admiral Foodle?
Oh, I saw that. Man.
I posted it. I did, yeah.
Hell with him.
Yep. Anybody else coming up? So I can get down.
Hey,
I ain't said no Paul really did it.
You're not. No, there's nobody else.
Damn.
It's okay. It's early on Sunday morning. It's all right.
Okay. I was making sure I don't think Miss Niecy want to come up.
No. Let Miss Niecy rest.
Yeah, it's a Sunday. I had a good little 5-day vacation again, so I'm pretty rested.
Okay.
Until Thanksgiving.
You can walk to the store and get some popcorn.
I ain't walking to the store and get no damn popcorn. I'm gonna drive to the store.
Lazy.
It's raining down here, sir.
Black people ain't afraid of water.
What's wrong with you? I ain't about to get sick messing with you.
I'm not. Who told you didn't have to wear a coat? I said go out in the rain and go get some.
I'm not gonna walk in no rain to get some damn popcorn.
Okay, get a juice with it, or get some water. I mean, the Carolina Panthers playing today, ain't they? They're gonna represent your state.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so go get your popcorn.
Well, you need to go buy Saquon Barkley jersey because he was repping New York yesterday.
That nigga. Fuck that nigga and his 3 touchdowns. All right, now you gotta go. Go get that popcorn. Thank you, sir. I fuck with you heavy though, Wallow J, but I don't want to disrespect the rules. I don't want to look like that debate. I don't know what the hell we watched. But by the way, y'all's Rabbi Shmuley was out there and he was trying to do damage control after this, talking about how she lost and he making up messages and shit. Oh my God. By the way, y'all's Candace Owens also made a statement about that Lauren Chen situation. Nasty work. Oh, if y'all want to see something, y'all could read this later. So apparently she mentioned some rabbi in there, some other rabbi, and they were clapping on her. You gotta love it. Oh wow. What did she say? We can pull it up real fast and then I'll go home. Go home. Go to work. Go to the plantation. Let's see. Where is it? Maybe she took it down. It wasn't that long. Let me see if I can find it. All right, I'm gonna have to go on our page. God, I'm gonna have to go on our page. Where's Brother Torian? See, I unfollowed her weeks ago. Just had to prove it to you. Here we go. So she said this 2 days ago. Lauren Chen is guilty until proven innocent in the court of neocon opinion. By the same fraud logic, human traffickers Andrew Tate and Pavlo Durov have been released. And Elon Musk deletes a conspicuous tweet. Join us live in 10 minutes. And I told her she took money from a foreign power. And I asked her, would you take $100,000 for your contact from someone underneath you? No verification of the principles involved. I love how they're still trying to defend this woman. This woman did not even come outside and say that she was innocent, even if it was a lie. Let me look, and then we'll get out of here. Let me look. Yep, see, the last thing she wrote was September 3rd. She reposted something. She's guilty as sin, and y'all are allowing this. She's guilty as sin. And y'all are still defending her. Well, let's hope so. We know the Vikings are still pissed off what happened last season in the playoffs. So let's hope. That would be nice. But all right. There's that. That was again, that was an interesting debate. We've seen better. But you know, it is what it is. All right. And I'm sure that helped you go to the bathroom. But yeah, we'll see you tomorrow unless something important pops off between now and midnight. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We have a lot of Donald Trump coverage to do before that debate on Tuesday. And yes, your boy is off on Tuesday, so we will be covering that debate. And it's 9 o'clock, so if you need to take a nap, take a nap. If you got to go to work the next day, I feel you. I understand. But anyway, y'all. What did I say that was pause? I probably did. All right, fine. Because I'll hear about it later if I don't.
Pause.
Pause.
I said pause, nigga.
All right, I paused myself. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you got to go be with the people who backflip, go be with the people that backflip. Just be wary of the golden offering plate. Anyway, hopefully you learned something. If you did, I done my job. If not, I'll try to be better next time. I will see you when I see you. Y'all, take care, stay safe, and you know what to do when the agents of chaos come to mess up your existence.
Wait around. Yep. Smart. Yeet and get out.
Time's up.
But did we have a good time here? Hello?
At the end of the day got to end.
Get your money up, not your funny up. Big fucking move.
And that's it.